Greetings, travelers, and welcome back for another tutorial series. This one, well, been around for a while, and there's quite a bit out there, but I've actually seen some questions about it, and that is Ars Magica 2. Now, those of you familiar with the mod, it has been around for quite some time, but when he updated, Mission updated to 1.7.10, he did change some of the mechanics on the mod. And I know some of you have asked questions about it, and I'm going to attempt to, at least again, like most of the tutorials, we're going to go through some of the basics, some of the ideas that you can do with the mod, and some of the advanced mechanics. So to get started, we are just going to go ahead and grab us a, and you can tell I wasn't entirely ready for this, but hey, you know, that shows you that I'm a real person. We're going to go ahead and get us a bucket of Ethereum. What the heck, we'll just use that. We'll do this, and for those of you looking in the background, obviously that's from a previous tutorial series, and I use this same world also to do some templates when I'm going to be using World Edit in the map that I'm making for my pack. A lot of times I'll come here to my super flat world and set the things up I need, turn them into schematics, and go from there. But enough about that. So the very first part of this mod, before you can start anything, you're going to want to have a block, and we'll just use gray wool for here. You will need an item frame, and right there. Let me clear out my inventory of other stuff I don't need here. And that goes on the block. And then you will need a book. And not the written book, just the regular book. And you're going to go ahead and put that one in there. And you'll start seeing some particle effects as the book gets changed. And this is pretty much how you trigger the use of Ars Magica. You know, my suggestion to anybody using this mod, in the configs you can tell it to have it gated so that you can only learn about things as you've completed others. Or you can just have everything open at once you get the book. I would suggest that until you're familiar with this mod, to go with the second part, having everything open from the start once you have the book. And then once, if you want to challenge yourself, and I just broke it. Okay, let's do that again. I forgot I'm in creative. So we'll do that again, let it make another book. Anyway, you know, once you're familiar with it, give yourself a challenge and then work on the progression from that way. But honestly, it doesn't really change because, well, let's just put it this way. It doesn't really change much if you have everything open from the start. It just gives you the feeling that you have to do some things before others, which you really don't. But you do, if you want to get the Ars Magica stuff, you need the book. So while that's doing it, oh, one of the key commands, if you go, I believe it is AM GUI CFG. No, I'll have to look it up. Give me 1 second. Plus we gotta wait for the book. Welcome back again. Alright. Almost had it. That allows you to move everything for Ars Magica around on the screen to where you want it, as well as set options for the different parts of the HUD. So, you know, if you guys ever want to do that again, that command was AMUICFG. And we have the book, so we're going to do it this. There we go. So now we have our book. We've unlocked the secrets of the arcane. And if you have the config set to open everything up, this is what you get. Absolutely everything. Alright, and that's, I mean, all the spell parts, the shapes, the components, modifiers, talents, everything. Now the first thing you'll want to set up once you do that, very important, is you need an Oculus, And you need a spell table. Where is the spell table at? There we go. Inscription table, excuse me. Now, the inscription table is a little weird because it points away from the direction of the block that you place it on. So if you have like a wall right here and you want it, you actually have to come around over here and do that to place it. And then the oculus. Now the oculus, that's the part that shows, now I'm in creative, so everything is unlocked when you're in creative, but when you first start, you'll see these three colors. Those are the points for the levels of spells, and they are in the blue, green, and red from beginner, intermediate, and advanced, as well as you have different tabs of the types of spells you can get. And then the affinity is what shows you for different, different spells have different components. Like a light spell is going to have like air. Oh, where's that at? Not there. Well, it'd be air, maybe depending on what you're doing with it, earth, and each one of those times you cast a spell increases your affinity for a particular area, and they have ups and downs. Like the agile is light as a feather. It gives you speed, feather falling, but then you have others. Pacifist means you can't kill anything or you'll get sick. That kind of thing. So that's how you would assign points. And let's go in here real quick. So you'll see, alright, there's from the start, and when you hover over, you'll see they have a color for their name. That refers to the level that you do it. So now I would suggest to start out to do. Alright, well that was kind of odd. So we won't click on it now. I'll have to look into that in a minute. Shouldn't be doing that on this map, but start with, well, as you see, I got it. It used one of my points, projectile. That way you can shoot the spells away. And then as you're going, because this is going to be key, because as we get into the higher parts of this mod, you will need fire. And then under utility, you are going to need light. So you're going to want to work points, and you get points by leveling up. I believe in the beginning you get 1 point every couple of levels, and then as you get to a certain point, it's every 5 levels or every 10 levels. But you're going to want to work towards light and fire initially, because you will need those to activate the different altars, which is something we will have in the intermediate stage of this, setting up the altars and whatnot. But once you get to a point where you can do spells, now you'll see them listed here. So give me a minute, let me get some more of the spells, and well, you know what, I believe we can just go creative again and do it that way. So now you'll see here as if I had gotten everything, but you'll see down here you have a gray bar. This threw me off, so we're going to do a projectile. You just click on it, drag it down. That needs to go down in this bar. How the spell is released, touch, projectile, area effect, that all goes down here. Then each of the additional components will come down here. So in this case we want to do fire, so we're gonna fire. Nope, actually we gotta do one more. Let's do not binding, don't want contingency. We have projectile. Alright, sorry, had it backwards. So you do the projectile in these boxes up here. Now we're going to go look for fire, which you'll see now is not dim. We're just going to do fire damage. And that goes down here. Now you have to give it a name. And we're going to call this basic fire. And of course we need a book, so let me go grab that real quick. And it is the book and quill. Now, as long as you put it in there and leave it, you can continue to add on to the spell. Once you pull it out, the spell is done. And if you open the book, it'll tell you what your different shape groups were. And the shape groups are going to be like projectile, area of effect, touch, that kind of thing. But as you go forward in the book, it'll tell you the kind of what that combination gets you, which is fire damage. And then it's going to show you the materials list. Now that's something that's coming up. That'll also be in the next episode. But this shows you all the items you're going to need. Now Vintium dust, you're going to find rarely in ore spawns when you're mining. Keep it all. Usually it's in block form and you have to smelt it to get the Vintium dust. There's ways to get more out of each ore, but again, that's going to be in the intermediate stage where we show some of the other blocks. And then runes, those are the easy ones, because runes, those are simply, well, let's go down here. Are this. So a blank rune is simply cobblestone. Everybody has tons of cobblestone. And of course, this will give you 2 runes. And if you need different colored runes, like the fire one needs red dye and a blank rune. Get you the red rune. And so forth and so on for the others. Some of the spell components may even need focus, which, you know, we'll cover those. But those are generally... Oh, we don't want to actually grab focus. Real simple as well. Gold nuggets with glass. And then those are used to create the other focus after the fact. You got that, and there's one that's the greater focus with Vintium dust and arcane ash. And then of course, you know, you use other focus to get to those, like the redstone and Vintium dust to get the mana focus, and so forth and so on, all the way down the line. And then these are more for flickers, which is something, one of the newer mechanics that we will try to cover in one of the other tutorial episodes. But that should pretty much cover the basics. You know, the key is get yourself familiar with the book, learn how it works as far as where everything's at, because most of the basic information you're going to need is here. There's a couple of wikis that, if I can remember, I will try to get some of those links in the description. But the last time I took a look at some of the wikis, they were a little outdated because they hadn't quite caught up with the mechanics as Mythian had changed them in Ars Magica. But that's going to be it for this tutorial episode, as I learn how to talk all over again. Just make sure to come back next week for the next step, which should be the intermediate, which will get into some of the other blocks and getting some of the stuff ready to start making some spells. And you guys don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, the whole 9 yards. But you guys, thank you for coming by, and you all have a great day.